welcome to the Intersection Magazine podcast. Our guest today is Nicholas Aruho. Heard about Nicholas Aruho via Twitter. I came across a tweet that was talking about an author of a book called The Ideal Startup. And from the tweet that I read, he was talking about his perspectives on the startup environment and the ecosystem. But I think he brings in some very interesting ideas because he's presenting the whole startup idea from a Ugandan perspective or from an African perspective. So even when I read the book, I came across quite a number of examples of businesses that are located in Uganda and that are good examples for us to go through. So join us in this podcast, and we hope you enjoy it as much as we did ourselves in putting it together. Thank you. Okay, Nicholas Aruho, tell me about your other two books, The Breakthrough and Beyond Education. What are those two books about?
Yeah, thank you so much. The first book I wrote is called The Breakthrough, and in that book I was guiding especially fresh graduates, someone who is from university, to guide them on how to manage life after university, things like how to manage the work environment, but beginning from how to look for a job, how do you write a CV, how do you answer interview questions, how do you write these applications, then when you get a job, how do you ensure that you perform well, how do you plan your career progress. So that's what it was talking about. And then the second book, Beyond Education, I was now taking it further, looking at the soft skills that are not taught in school, because you realize that most of these soft skills are not taught in school. So in that book, I handle things like negotiation, things like decision making, things like personal finance, how to manage social media, how to manage relationships, and all those areas of emotional intelligence. So I was looking at the soft skills that someone needs, but which are not necessarily taught in school. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. Now, by the way, where can we get these books if you want to purchase them, and how much are they going for?
Now, my books are available in the major bookshops in Uganda. If you go to Aristoc, if you go to Uganda Bookshop, if you go to Book Point, these books are available. But then the third one, I don't know whether we've already started talking about the third one, but the third one, in addition to those ones, is available on Mahiri Books, that's online. It's also available on Jumia, and very soon it will be on Amazon, but also for people in Kenya, it is also available online in Kenya.
Thank you very much. Okay, let's talk about your recent book. I purchased a copy through Mahiri Books, and they delivered it to my home about 3 days ago. I'm very glad to have gotten a chance to read it. So let's talk about some of what I saw in the book. One of the most interesting things I saw is a description that you gave of the early 20s, the 30s, and the 40s. Can you describe some of what you were talking about in terms of what different areas of focus a person normally goes through when they're in these age groups?
Yeah, thank you very much. So when I was looking at the introductory part of the book, and here we are talking about the ideal startup, which is about starting businesses, I was looking at the influence of age on entrepreneurship. So I indicated that in your 20s, that's the time when you are experimenting things. That's the time when you can take on risks because you have time. You have time on your side, and you can take on all the risks that you want. So that's the time where you take on risk. That's the time when you experiment with all these sorts of ideas. As you go into the 30s, there you are looking at consolidation of what you did, because throughout the 20s you're experimenting. So as you enter into the 30s, you now have an idea of what is working and what is not. So you are looking at consolidating what you experimented during your 20s, and as you go into your 40s, of course, you're looking at life again. That's where now you review what you have achieved over the last years, and you try to look at your life again. Am I doing the right thing? And that's where people now end up changing. Some people end up resigning. If he has been working, you see people resigning and starting businesses. If they have been doing businesses, you see them venturing into either scaling up or venturing into fresh ones. And of course, that's where now those who haven't, if you don't handle that well, that's where some people have the midlife crisis. Yeah, but of course, around 40s also, what is important is that people have a lot of experience. That's why most of the people, when they start businesses around 40s, they have higher chances of succeeding than those who started in 20s.
And then you said the 50s, after that is a time for consolidation?
Yes, now that's the final consolidation you make, because at this point you may not engage in a lot of experimentation. Now there you have to focus on what you have already achieved to make sure that it doesn't go away. So you are doing the final consolidation as you look at how you are going to survive in your retirement.
Okay. Then I also came across this section where I think you call them externals or the external environment, factors that what you have to consider. I think you talked about the economic environment, the political, the social dynamics, and then the technological aspects. Could you highlight a little bit more about that?
Yeah, thank you so much. So I was looking at planning, when you are planning to do your business, because I encourage people to do a proper business plan, to look at the market properly and look at the factors in the market, whether they favor you or not. Look at the customers, look at the product that you are putting into the market, look generally at the market and the factors that are prevailing. Now, one of the important elements to look at when you are doing your market research is to look at the external environment. Now, some people tend to focus on the internal. You look at the product you have, you look at how you are going to promote it, you look at the benefits of the product, so you're comfortable that I have a good product and it will sell. But you forget to look at the external factors that may influence or that may affect the product that you have, either positively or negatively.
Okay.
Now, in the external environment, that's where I encourage people to look at the political aspects, to look at the environmental aspects, to look at the technological aspects, to look at the economic aspects, look at all those in detail and see how they affect your business.
Okay. Then the other section I noticed, it felt a bit of kind of like a case study of the major companies that are in Uganda that you touched on. You talked about SAMS with Mr. Ngabirano, Eversend with Stone Atwine, Fundi Bots with Solomon King, Vine Pharmacy, Grace Munyirwa, and Innovation Village with CK Japheth. Why do these particular ones stand out for you, and why did you feel like you needed to mention some of these companies?
Yes, thank you very much. So I was, first of all, the main reason for including the Ugandan farms in the book as examples, I wanted to bring these examples home for someone who is reading the book here in Uganda, because my main target market is the Ugandan market. So I wanted to bring a perspective of the Ugandan market, such that instead of only reading about those international firms like Google, Amazon and all that, I wanted the reader to see what the Ugandan firms are doing. And I picked those that are led majorly by the young people who are, they may not necessarily be very young, but those whom we can categorize as the new generation of entrepreneurs. Because I suspect that most of the people who will read my book will be the young people or those who are still in their 20s, 30s, early 40s. So I looked at people who have been able to create companies that are successful, that someone can look at and learn a few things. That's why I brought up those companies at different parts of the book, such that a reader can see what a fellow Ugandan entrepreneur is doing to be successful.
Okay, thank you very much. In the next section, I wanted to talk about financing. And you described mainly about 4 different methods. You talked about debt financing, equity financing, you talked about grants, and then you talked about the importance of SACCOs. So anything particular you want to mention there that readers need to pay attention to?
Yeah, thank you so much. So regarding financing, because when you are starting a business, one of the main areas to look at is where you are going to get the startup capital.
Okay.
And so if you have saved some money, you could start using your own money. That is what sometimes called bootstrapping.
Bootstrapping, yes.
Yes, so you may start with your own resources that you mobilized either from your savings or from your friends or family, or you may get some extra money from external sources where you may get money from it may be a bank loan, it may be a SACCO loan, or you may get a grant from somewhere. But what I advise people in this case is not to start their businesses with a lot of external financing. Because if you are starting a new business, now some people are starting new businesses with loans. You find that 100% of the money is from a loan. Now you have to pay interest straight away, and you have to repay this loan, the monthly installment, yet you're still starting. You're going to have issues with cash flow in your first months of your startup. So it is important to start small.
Yes.
And that's where the issues of the lean startup come up. So it is important to start small. So that is the advice I can give to. Of course, there are other external sources that can give you money, and you start from there. But of course now, the external sources means that someone has a hand in your business. So it means you're not going to be as independent as you think. So the best alternative is to start small. Of course, there are new areas. There's crowdfunding, all those new sources of money, venture capital and all that, although they are not yet developed here. But all those, it means that someone has a stake in your business, so they participate in the decision making.
I also noticed that you talked about SACCOs. What are we missing, and how can we take advantage of SACCOs? Because these are becoming very popular ways of raising finances.
Yes, SACCOs present a very big window of opportunity because it is able to raise money from different individuals, and those different individuals can access cheap credit because the credit from financial institutions, the interest rates are still high. You find most of them are over 20%, in addition to other charges that come on top of that. But when groups of people come up and raise their own money, they are able to give out loans at a lower interest rate, and also when you look at collateral, because most people who are starting businesses, especially young people, you may not have a land title to take to a bank to secure a loan, but in a SACCO, as long as you are a member, they are able to give you a loan. Some may give you 3 times your savings, or they may give you even more, because the other members can stand surety, and you are able to. So the SACCOs, I want to encourage everyone listening to us to put more effort in the SACCOs. Let's belong to more SACCOs. Let's mobilize our friends and colleagues to be part of these SACCOs, because the more people we have, the more money we raise. And the good thing with the SACCO is that even when you are paying interest, you are part of the beneficiaries of it, because that money is still yours. So the interest you are paying is not going away completely, because it is part of the SACCO income, which you will also participate in sharing.
Yes. I also noticed that you talked about a certain figure of 12% that an interest rate for agricultural enterprises. Tell me about that.
Yes, the government has put money in banks, in commercial banks, for agricultural financing. There's what they call agricultural financing facility. Now, farmers who are engaged in agriculture are able to borrow this money and pay an interest rate of 12%, and it doesn't even have a lot of other charges like other loans. So this is a very good opportunity for those engaged in agriculture, because 12% is like almost half of the market rate for other loans.
Yes.
So everyone engaged in agriculture should take advantage of this facility and get a loan. You just visit a commercial bank, and ask them about the agricultural financing facility, such
Okay.
that you get a loan and promote your agricultural business.
Okay, thank you very much. Let's talk about a little bit about marketing strategy.
Yes. Now, marketing strategy. What I normally advise business people is first separate marketing from sales. Now, when we talk about marketing, we are looking at the entire strategy. You are looking at the whole process.
Okay.
You are looking at how the strategy, right from the beginning, you are not looking at making the final sale. You are looking at how does the product look like from the product itself. What kind of product do I have? What kind of service do I have? Is it competitive? What is my competitive strategy? Will this product compete in the market? Now, after looking at the product, then you look at the place, where am I going to sell this product? Am I going to open physical premises?
Okay.
Am I going to do it online? Like right now, online is very popular. So am I going to sell this online? Am I going to do both? You know, what kind of price am I going to charge?
Yes.
Some people think that when you charge a lower price, you will get more clients, but that's a wrong strategy, because charging a lower price is not necessarily a clever move. So you look at all those aspects in totality. Yeah. Do you have a website? Have you done branding of this item? Because we have an issue with branding in this market, where most of the products are not branded well. You look at a product, it doesn't, you don't pick interest, because even by the look of it, it doesn't attract you, because the branding is done poorly. We don't have good customer service. All those, when you look at all those aspects, then you can say, I have put in place my marketing strategy. Then after ensuring that all those are in place, then you can look at sales. That's where issues like sales promotion will come in. That's where advertising will now come in, such that I'm going to advertise on social media, I'm going to advertise here and there. The distribution, if someone has ordered the product, how do I deliver it to them? How do I ensure that? So it's a whole, it's a big thing, not just one aspect.
Then I also noticed you talked about the STP, segmentation, targeting, and positioning. Kind of shed some light around what you were talking about there.
Yes, now that is still part of marketing. Now, that's what we call the marketing mix. Because when you go to the market, you are not going to sell these products to everybody. So you must know where your market is. If Uganda has 40 million people, you cannot say that your client or you are targeting 40 million people. You must zero down to the actual market, where the actual market is, and that is segmentation that we are talking about, and targeting and positioning. So you must know that if I'm selling this kind of product, if I'm starting a restaurant which is selling fast food, so you must know where am I going to position this restaurant, and what is the kind of the target market that I'm looking at. Maybe I'm looking at people who are within this age group. I'm looking at people who have this kind of income, who are in this income bracket. You are looking at people who are staying within this particular area. So now you are trying to zero down to the actual customer. Then after knowing your actual customer, then you draft a strategy. If you know that my clients are people who have gone to school, these are people who are earning a certain level of income, who are in middle class, who are staying within this, upscale neighborhood. So now you craft your marketing strategy, or you work on your product to make sure that it can fit within the interests of those particular people. So that is the targeting, the positioning, and the segmentation, such that then you know how to do your marketing strategy, so that you don't target the wrong people.
Then I also noticed you talked about differentiation.
Yes, and now in differentiation, because your product, for your product to attract clients, it has to be different. It has to bring something new to the market.
Yes.
Someone should identify it and associate it with something, so that they know that this product is good in this area. Because now you have to ask yourself, why should someone leave the other products and buy mine?
Yes.
There must be something special that someone will like about the product. That is the differentiation that I'm talking about, where you look at your competitive strategy and you focus on one area, one or two, that will attract clients to your product, that you may be doing better than the other competitors in the market. You look at what other competitors are doing, then you look at where you can do better than them.
Yes.
That is the differentiation that I'm talking about.
Excellent. Then you also tackled a tough question. I noticed you're always picking up these complex questions, but one of the tough questions you asked is, do customers really know what they want?
Yes, do customers know what they want? And the answer is yes and no. Of course, customers, if you ask them, they will tell you they know what they want. Yes. So the first part of the question, which is yes, you have to. That's why marketing. That's why you have to do a marketing plan, and you go to the market and you do research, so that the customers will tell you what they want, and then you craft your product around their needs and wants, so that you address what you want, because you don't want to make a product that no one wants.
That's true.
So you want to ask the clients, the customers, so that they tell you what they want, and then you provide it.
Yes.
But now the other aspect of the question, which is no. Sometimes customers don't know what you want, what they want, until you provide it.
Yes.
You know? So sometimes supply creates its own demand. Sometimes, before all these technological things came up, we didn't know that we needed a phone. We didn't know that we needed, I think it is Ford who has a popular saying, who say that if he had asked the customers what they wanted, they would have said they want faster horses. But for him, he was able to make a car, and then they liked it. They realized you can't just use horses for transport. There's someone who can make a car that is faster and more efficient. So sometimes we need to help the customer to show them that there is a better product beyond what they want. So it is two-way, and both ways are correct, depending on which one you decide to pursue.
Okay, thank you. Then talk about customer retention and communication strategy.
Yes, customer retention is a very, very big issue in business, because that's actually retaining a customer is harder than attracting him or her, and that's where most of the business people are getting it wrong, especially in a market like Uganda, because you go to a place and you purchase something or you use the services, but you don't go back because of the service you received. The service is our customer service is very poor. We don't our after sales services, we don't pay attention to that. You can enter into a shop in Kampala and someone who is attending to a shop is just on WhatsApp. They are not paying attention to you. Even after taking the product, no one is checking on you to find out whether you like the product, find out how best they can serve you better next time. So now retention becomes a problem. You find that people are not coming back. People will come back where they are treated well. So as business people, we need to ensure that we create a relationship with this client. Check on the client, do after sales services, check on the client, make sure they get a delightful customer service when they are in your premises, so that they will feel a need to come back. And customer retention is the only way you are going to succeed in business.
Yes. Communication strategy?
Yes, and communication strategy. Now, communication strategy, we are looking at especially sales promotion. How are you going to communicate your product? How are you going to market your product? How are you going to make sure that people know about your product? Right now, the main thing is social media. So how are you going to strategize on social media to make sure that your people can know it? Do Do you have a website that is updated?
Yes.
You know, so you look at, first of all, depending on the resources you have. Of course, for big companies, their communication strategy involves many other things, including the traditional media houses. But if you are starting out, your main area, your communication strategy may be on how best you can use social media to put out the information.
Okay, thank you. I also noticed you talked about, I had come across this also when I was reading. You talked about importance of data analytics, but I think you also wanted to mention that we may be placing a bit too much of an emphasis on data. You know, the phrase "data is the new oil." What were your thoughts behind that idea?
Yes,
data analytics.
Data analytics is the new buzzword in town. People are talking about big data analytics, Internet of Things, machine learning. It is very easy to mention those words and without going into the details to know what they mean. But what I meant here in data analytics, beyond data analytics being a new buzzword in town, you need to focus, as a business, you need to focus on data analytics. It may even be on a small scale.
Yes.
Whereas the big businesses may have data analytics tools that can pick data from different sources and bring it onto a dashboard and analyze. They have all those complex analysis tools that will analyze and come up with answers at the end on a dashboard. Now, as a small business person, you also need to pick data because you will need to know who your client is. You need to know where they stay. You need to know the age group of your client. You need to know the combinations of products they are buying. For example, if you are operating a shop, which combinations of goods do people tend to buy together, and when do they buy?
Okay.
So when you have all this data, then you analyze it. Then you know how to allocate your resources. You know how to place your products in your shop, and you know which combinations of products will earn you more profit, so that you strategize on those ones.
Okay. Then there was tell us about the 4 P's, and then of course the 5th P that you added, which was people.
Yes. Of course, traditionally they were 4, but now they can be 5, they can be 7, they can be 10. But here we are looking at the P's of marketing, where we look at things like price, promotion, people, place. There can be others, but this is the marketing mix that I was talking about.
Yes,
if it is the people, you need to know the kind of people that you are going to work with. If it is price, you need to know the kind of price that you are going to charge. If it is promotion, you need to know how you are going to promote the product. If it is product, you must know the features of the product that can sell in the market. So and all these can involve a lot. So you need to pay attention to each one of them. Time is not enough for us to look into the details of each, but all these can be complex matters that you need to pay attention to and make sure that your strategy is right.
Okay. I think one of the richest sections that I also noticed was a section in which you talked about the team, and we should probably let the listeners buy the book to get more details about this. Otherwise, we'll give away too much. But just one thing that you mentioned that I think is really important. You asked the question, what do you do if one of your staff members doesn't care anymore?
Yes. Now there I was entering into the areas of building high performance teams, because when you start a business, you are not going to work alone.
Yes.
You're going to hire some people. You will either hire some people or you will have partners at the beginning. But as the business grows, you're going to have more and more people on board. And therefore you must know how to motivate these people. You must know how to deal with them, such that because the business will only perform if the team is performing.
Yes.
And you are not everywhere, so you can't do everything alone. So the way you work with this team will determine the success of your business, because this is the team that is going to give you results that you are going to rely on. So issues of motivation, issues of how do you identify the people to work with. Now, For example, the question you are talking about, what if they don't care anymore? Sometimes you bring these people, but if you don't motivate them so well, they will reach a point when they will give up. You will find that they no longer care. They are just there to earn a salary. They will give you the bare minimum that will enable them to get paid at the end of the month, and maybe as they try to look for other jobs. And as a business person, you are losing.
Yes.
So you must know how you are going to deal with these people, such that you keep them motivated, you keep them interested, such that they can give you the best. You sell the idea to them, you sell the vision to them, and you make sure they embrace it, and you make sure that they can support you to realize the vision.
Okay. Two last sections. Maybe you can just mention briefly highlights of those. Because I noticed that the section on accounting and the section on taxation is very important. So I encourage the readers to get the book just to have written material on what to do in terms of taxation, written material in terms of advice of what to do in terms of accounting, but just highlight these two on what you are talking about in taxation and in accounting.
Yeah, thank you very much. You see, I wanted a reader to get information about the business, or to be all round. Not to know how to, not to just know how to start, but to know the different aspects of the business. Something like taxation, you have to know which taxes am I supposed to pay. Some business people are making mistakes. You start, but you don't find out which taxes you are supposed to pay. Then 1-2 years down the road, or even 5 years down the road, URA knocks on your door and they give you a bill going backwards. They want hundreds or millions of taxes that has been outstanding, and some businesses are closing because of that, because of the tax bill that they cannot afford to pay. So you must know this industry where I'm entering, what are the taxes, what are the rates, such that I plan better. And you have to pay it is very important to pay taxes. If you are going to run a serious business, you have to pay taxes, because if you don't pay taxes, you are not going to do a formal business.
Yes.
You will reach a point where you need to do a contract. They will ask you for a tax clearance certificate. But if you are going to do this business of running away from the taxman all the time, then you are not going to do a serious business. So you must know which taxes you are supposed to pay. You must know how to comply. So in the book, I give details of all the things on taxation, which taxes and where to go, how to comply. And then lastly, I talk about record and bookkeeping.
Yes.
This is one of the aspects that most business people are not paying attention to. You must keep records, you must know. Most people are running businesses, but they don't know. When you ask them how much they are making, they confuse sales with profits, with, So for them, they see they have money, but they cannot tell you whether these are just sales or these are profits.
Yes.
If you ask them how much they have invested in the business, they don't know exactly how much. They just put in money, then when they sell, they get money, sort out things. So it is important to do proper records, and it is important to do proper bookkeeping.
Yes.
Such that you are able to tell at the end of the day how much money have I invested, how much money exactly am I picking from this business as a profit, or if I'm making a loss, how much loss am I making, or if I'm going to compute taxes, which records am I basing on to compute this tax, or if I'm going to ask for funding, they will need all this, and you have to do this cash flow projection. Sometimes if you are going to attract investors or partners, they will want to look at how you have been performing, or even if you are just starting, they will want to know your cash flow projections.
Yes.
How much money do you expect to invest in? When do you expect to break even? You have to know how to compute all these things and put them together. So that's why it becomes very important to know how to do. That's why in the book, I don't expect everyone to be a certified accountant, but I put in the book illustrations.
Yes,
is the ways of being able to keep your own books without necessarily hiring an accountant. You can always hire an accountant when you get more resources.
Yes.
So it's very important for readers to get to these sections and see how best to record their business.
Okay, thank you very much, Nicholas. I think listeners, you realize how valuable a resource this is. Nicholas, tell us a bit about where they can find you, where you're on Twitter or LinkedIn. How can they contact you as a writer, maybe for speaking engagements?
Okay, thank you so much, Nicholas. So on social media, I use my actual names, Nicholas Aruho. So on Twitter, I'm at Nicholas Aruho. On Facebook, Nicholas Aruho. On LinkedIn, Nicholas Aruho. And of course, the book, especially this Ideal Startup, can be found in any of the major bookshops. You can go to Aristoc, any of the branches, and get the book. You can go to Uganda Bookshop. You can go to Nice Bookshop in Naria and get the book. But also, most importantly, you can get it online. You can order and get the book on your doorstep. You can order on Mahir Books. You can order on Jumia. You can order on Amazon, which is coming very soon. And of course, like I said, in Kenya, I'm on the Kenyan platform that sells books. This is Nuria Bookstore. Nuria Bookstore in Kenya can also deliver the book to your doorstep.
Okay, thank you very, very much, Nicholas, for doing this interview on this podcast. And hopefully we can meet again and maybe discuss the other 2 books that you've put out. Thank you very much.
And thank you so much for having me.